Number 4 for practice exam number 2, it says a public opinion poll in Florida wants to determine whether registered voters in the state approve of a measure to ban smoking in all public areas. The researchers select a simple random sample of 60 registered voters from each county in the state and ask whether they approve or disapprove of the measure. This is an example of letter A you can disregard and throw away because it's not even anything. A systematic county sample, that's not anything. You've never been taught what that is. That's made up stuff to throw you off. Letter B says a stratified sample. Now this is the most true of the 4 because if you remember what stratification is, it's when you separate um, a group into different subgroups that have the same characteristics. So here what they did was they separated Florida into different counties. All right, so they separated the state into different counties. And usually, typically for stratified sampling, that's what is usually the case. It's usually separating counties, but you can separate with ethnicities or other ways you can take a group and put it into different subgroups. So letter B is your answer. Letter C, it's not letter C because multi-stage sample. If you remember, most multi-stage samples use multiple stages of stratification. So since this is only really one stage of stratification, it's just a stratified sample. And this whole thing is a simple random sample, but we it's the question is asking for what the truest answer is of the 4. Now, although it is a simple random sample, it's much more than just a simple random sample. It's a stratified sample. So you would be tempted, like how this person picked D. You'd be tempted to select B, but the most true answer of the 4 is B. Now, number 5 says the television program Nightline once asked viewers whether the United Nations should continue to have its headquarters in the United States. 2 phone numbers were given. Viewers were asked to call one telephone number to respond yes, and the other to respond no. No, more than 186,000 callers responded, and 67% said no. This is an example of A, B, C, D. Let's take a look at A. It says a survey with little bias, since someone who called would know his or her opinion. Now that's not true at all because anybody that calls has a personal bias. They had the energy and the strong personal feeling to pick up a phone and take that time to call. So it's not a little bias. So B you can ignore too because it says a survey with little bias. So that's not true. It has bias. And C is the most accurate because it is voluntary response sampling. When somebody decides to get up and call and voice their opinion, that is completely voluntary. And every person that calls, took that time and they have a bias when they respond. And it's not D, obviously. So C is our answer. But so that's 4 and 5 for the first page of the practice exam.